Hi, this is Jed. I'm a Filipino living in Australia with my family. If you find stuff like this useful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and comment if you have anything that you want me to tackle. So, let me introduce myself again. I've been here with my family for 4 years in Australia, galing Pilipinas. And I've learned quite a bit about going here and how to settle and make a life here. Ngayon, I wanted to talk about what are the costs to going into Australia. So gusto mo mag-migrate, you want to go out of the Philippines, you want to explore and then makipagsapalaran dito sa Australia. What are the things that you have to consider when you commit to go into Australia? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first and foremost, let's talk about opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is something that you have to consider apart from any actual upfront costs and actual monetary costs that you pay. So an opportunity cost is what are you currently earning in the Philippines right now or wherever you are. Think about what you would lose if you leave the country. So that's the first cost that you have to think about. It's not any of the fees and whatnot. It's the opportunity cost. What are you actually giving up to go here? The next one is pretty obvious. It's the fees. So let's start with visa fees. So you have to determine ano yung visa na i-apply mo. Kasi there are student visas, there are regional skilled visas, there are state-sponsored visas, there are employer-sponsored visas, there's partner visa, many other visas. And maybe I'll dedicate a separate video about that. If you're interested, comment below. You determine first what kind of visa you want to pursue. Recently, nagtaas ng visa fees ang Australia because they're trying to tighten the borders here because of like internal politics and internal pressure. Meron kasing housing crisis recently sa Australia and one of the scapegoats is immigration. So naghihigpit sila ngayon sa immigration. So the fees are expectedly going to go higher. If you're, for example, looking at a skilled visa, there's things like skills assessment fees. So there are agencies here, there are institutions that actually certify you based on your skills, and they are an independent body telling Australia that this person is competent enough for this occupation. That comes with a certain set of fees as well. So you have to think about the fees for that if you're going for a skilled assessment. But if you're going for a student pathway, then you'll have to think about the tuition fees and then other fees associated to enrolling and becoming a student. And then there's another layer of fees, which is the medical fees. So there is almost certainly going to be medical exams. So you'll have to think about how much, ilan kayong magpapa-medical. So that also comes at a certain cost. Usually it's around $750 thereabouts, $700. I'm not sure with the number. I'll get back to you on that on another video. Maybe let's do a breakdown. And then there is the English test. So the English test, like either IELTS or PTE, there are requirements as to the band of English competency that you have to fulfill. Another layer of costs that you have to consider is the logistical part of it. Flights, accommodations. If you already have a place to stay pagpunta mo ng Australia, or kung wala pa, you'll have an interim place to stay and then maghahanap ka pa ng lugar. Kung meron kang mga kakilala or mga kamag-anak, it would be great. But if wala, you'll have to have a home base first before you can find a place to rent. So medyo mas risky siya ng kaunti. That's something that you have to consider. You have to have a runway. By the way, ang rental dito sa Australia is usually per week. Yeah, it's not a monthly, unlike sa atin sa Philippines. You have to think about the costs for a per week rental. Apart from that, sustaining yourself, like groceries, food, the basic essential needs. You'll have to have sufficient pocket money. As a baseline, you could start with 7,000 or 5,000 even a month, depending on what you're spending. You could obviously go lower than that, but a comfortable average is around that. And then what most people don't talk about is information cost. What is information cost? When you go to a place that is unfamiliar to you, you will make mistakes. You will pay for something that you didn't have to pay for, or you will go to a place when you're shopping, for example, when you're doing grocery, you'll buy it from this place na meron naman palang mas mura somewhere, pero hindi mo alam. So there are things that you still don't know because you're not familiar with the place. The first few months of staying in Australia or anywhere else is going to be more expensive because again, you haven't built a system yet. Hindi mo pa alam kung saan mura. You don't have a benchmark yet. Wala ka pang baseline. So that's something that you have to consider as well. Not only the fees, the actual cost, but also the cost of information or not having that information. The way I would approach this is just to write down all these costs, do your research. Those are the things that, from my experience, you need to factor in before you actually decide to go here. And just the tip of the iceberg, there are more costs that will pop up. There's childcare, there's health insurance, there's the utilities, kuryente, tubig. There's sometimes penalties kung may kamali ka, you violate some traffic rule, etc. There are a bunch of other costs attached to living in Australia. So again, if you want another video on what are the costs, kasi we talked about what are the costs before you go to Australia. In the next video, we could talk about what are the costs when you're already here. That would be fun. Just comment below if you want to hear about that. Until then, again, if you found this useful, please click the like button and subscribe and comment if you want me to tackle any other topic. Thank you so much. Until the next video. Thanks.